I wanted to call it why boats capsize and how to keep them upright. Alex called it keeping it up, I think. So we're going to talk about why boats capsize and what you should do about it. I think then Mark's going to tell you about how to pimp the boat, probably. So, again, interactive, so you don't just want to hit it all. So we can start with, who's capsized this year? Put your hand up. Brilliant, that's a good start.
There'll be more tomorrow.
Who capsized? Who was there the last year? You here last year?
Yeah.
Yeah? Who capsized last year?
Yeah.
Who capsized in the last race last year? One of the windiest races we've done for a while last year. So, that's really good. That goes to show you, like, everybody capsizes all the time. Is capsizing quick?
No.
Is it a good thing to do?
No.
No. How many, let's pick on somebody. You Jack Bolton, you cap. How many places do you lose when you capsize?
I think I lost about 15 places in the last race last year.
15 places, yes. Who was in front of me on the last race at the reach mark? Come on, I rounded the top mark in about, I don't know, 25th. It was blowing 20 odd plus knots, wasn't it?
Yeah, I knew afterwards then.
It was pretty windy, wasn't it? I must have rounded that wind mark in about 20th, 25th. And it was such a pleasant view to see everybody just career off to the corner of Torbay as I bore away down the dead run. And I rounded the bottom mark in third. And I looked behind me and every other boat had capsized. Every boat had capsized behind me on that jibe. And I did the entire leg without jibing. I did it in the whole leg, by the lead, without jibing, rounded the mark and carried on. So I didn't have to capsize. And I looked behind me and you'd all capsized. So I thought, oh, thank you very much. That was really nice. So yeah, it's not quick. I think Alice took a win last year. Capsized. A great photo. Have you seen that great photo? That was him capsizing right behind me. Right behind me, and he went from second to fifth. 2 more places, and he'd have lost the championship. You know, it's not quick. Even if you're at the front, where we tend to have a little bit more gap between boats, it's not a quick thing to do. So, what we want to talk about is why it happens and how to stop it. So, what are the two main ways you capsize? There's only 2. There's probably about 3 ways to capsize, I think, when I try to think about this. There's really only 2 that happen most of the time.
Roll to windward on a run.
Roll to windward on a run. So that's, if you're sat here, you've got a boat, might as well use it. We'll go down a run, and it goes that way. Okay? What's the other way you capsize? While you're driving, okay, we'll come back to that. You get blown over, you said that, you get blown over. So which way do you go when you get blown over? Going to windward. To leeward. Yeah. Windward's this way, leeward's that way. Yeah. Go to leeward. Okay, those are the 2 main ways you capsize. You either get blown to leeward or you get blown to windward. Now, almost every other variation of a capsize is based on one of those 2 things. So, when you capsize, where you can go? To leeward, or, if it's really wrong, to windward. You still capsize to leeward or capsize to windward. The same thing happens. The only time something completely different happens is, well, I've seen Robin Kirby nosedive it. You think that brilliant photo of Robin where he turns it into a submarine? That literally just went straight up like that. I mean, that was quite impressive. Occasionally there is one other in light winds. Light shifty winds, as sailors. Feeling that wind, so wax, and you just like, and it all just comes on top of you, and do one of those windsurfer things, and you try and tips, toe straps are falling, but it's just muppetry, I can't help it. Okay, so there's 2 main ways to capsize. So we're going to do the simple one first. When you get blown over to do it, why does that happen? Why do we think that happens?
Too much power in the sail. Yeah, the boom gets stuck in the water.
Too much power in the sail? Captain?
The boom gets stuck in the water.
Boom gets stuck in the water? What do you mean by that?
Well, you can't let it down.
Same thing, too much.
You can't let the boom out because the boom's in the water. So it's not flat. Not flat enough. So really, it's purely a case of dynamics. If there's more heeling force in the sail, and you can apply as righting force leaning out, you will capsize.
That's the photo, isn't it? That was Plymouth. Boom hits the water.
Boom hits the water, yeah. So if there's too much force in the sail and you can't keep it flat, the boat will capsize to the wood. I mean, the nice thing about capsize boat, it's a nice simple capsize, right? Everything happens in front of you. You can jump on the centreboard if you've still got knees and hips and you're fit enough, and you can jump back in and off you go. But how do you stop that from happening?
Spill the wind.
Question. It's not a trick question. How do you stop it from happening? Let the sail out. Okay, depower the boat. So, first of all, talking depower, as we've got a boat here, we're going to do this. But depowering, what's your main depower control?
Halligan.
This, a halligan?
That would do it.
That would work, I suppose.
He said Cunningham.
Cunningham, okay. Cunningham. So Cunningham at the front. What else is our main control?
Main sheet.
Main sheet. Okay. So when you're sailing along, if you get overpowered, you dump the main, right? And then what do you do?
Hike.
Hike? After
Well,
you've
not
dumped
after
the
you,
main.
no, then you fall in.
Okay. Yeah, you'll be going into. Okay. So you tend to dump the main,
Stuff it to windward.
and then you pull it back in. Stuff it to windward. Who's an ex-later sailor? Who pinches up the beat? All us ex-later sailors do, right? Okay? So the two main controls, biggest control, control the tower, this and this. Use the two things in tandem. We're talking going upwind, we're talking upwind here, reaching slightly different. So you're letting the sail in and out in the gusts. As you let the sail out, you tend to head up a bit. If you head up, the front of the sail will flap. Back and sail don't really flap, but you decrease the power in the sail. So it's a combination of the two things. When you see novices sail, they're really aggressive on the rudder, so they tend to head up notch. You sort of see them kangarooing, and then they pull it this way and that way. You see the guys at the top of the fleet, it's a really subtle movement. But a subtle combination of tiller heading up to lose a bit of power, and then bearing away again to get the power back, and also letting the sail in and out are your two main controls for keeping the boat flat, as well as hiking like an absolute demon. But what is the main problem? We've already mentioned it. When you let the sail out, this is how I capsized last year in the Nationals. What happens when you let the sail out? It's a big gust. It's choppy. It's wavy. It's going to be a lot of swell out there tomorrow. I suspect there'll be a nice bit of waves. What happens when you let the sail out and the boat's in do?
The boom hits the water.
If you imagine, if you tip that boat over 45 degrees, at the moment the boat can go like all the way out to 90. If you imagine you tip the boat over 45 degrees, that boom is going downwards and hits the water. When the boom hits the water, it won't go out any further. And so you're stuck then, doesn't matter what you do with the main sheet, it literally will not go out any further, and so you can't let the power go in the rig, and you will capsize. If the boom hits the water, you will almost always capsize, unless you're lucky. If it's decent wind, you will almost always capsize. So, to stop the boom hitting the water, what can you do to stop the boom hitting the water? Kick her off, boat flat. So one is keep the boat flat, hike harder, use a bit more rudder, to poke it into the wind. The other one is less kicker. The tighter you pull the kicker, the lower the boom will go. The lower the boom will go down. So the more you have the kicker on, if you're going upwind, with the old sail specifically, where's Will? If you watch Will going upwind, the boom's on the back of the deck, kickers on tight. You can't actually let the boom out very far and it will hit the water. So one of the techniques I do is if it's a really horrible day and it's really windy and really gusty and really big, and a big wave, big chop, maybe start with a very slightly less kicker, or what's the other thing you can do to lift the end of the boom up?
Pull the mast forward.
Pull the mast forward. Hang on.
Purple one, I think.
Yeah. Lift the mast backwards, the boom will go down. Lift the mast forwards and the boom will go up.
But those are both the opposite of things you do to depower.
Yes, but if it's that windy, it's
do it
more about
anyway.
survival, and I'm more worried about the boom hitting the water than I am about the subtlety of depowering the rig. So actually, and it gets to that raking the mast forward a little bit when it's windy, just to make sure the boom doesn't hit the water, it's a really good thing.
And it's worse on the sea because you've got the waves. Obviously on flat water it's flat, but you can have a wave, it's almost as high as the hull, which is obviously...
If you had a metre wave, just there, it's almost hitting the end of the beam even when the boat's flat, if you know what I mean. So raking the rig forward a little bit, sometimes can get you out of trouble. think about where the gusty bits of the course. I was going to say, I capsized this out, I capsized last year, coming on the port mainland, done a very good start. I was coming into the windward mark, on port, while everybody else was coming across on starboard, so I'm under the, you know, if you've got a whole bunch of boats on starboard, you get really choppy air as it goes between their sails, over their sails, round their sails, and it was windy and it was gusty, and I dumped the main, hit a wave, and straight in. So again, the more random and more sort of gusty the wind is, the more likely that will happen. So on a lake sail, it happens at Cotswold, you get under the trees, it can get really gusty. You know, at the other end of the lake, it can be not too bad. So I think you know, you can adjust your controls relative to the course. Anything else? All right. Capsizing. There are some subtleties in controls. Obviously, somebody mentioned the Cunningham. What does the Cunningham do?
Flatten the sail.
Flatten the sail.
Depower.
Okay, it does a whole range of those things, but effectively the Cunningham flattens the top of the sail, brings the centre of effort forward. Don't need to worry about that too much. Effectively, it opens the back of the leech, especially on this new sail. The Cunningham opens the back of the leech so it helps you spill wind off the back. So having the Cunningham on pretty tight when you're going upwind, not when you're going downwind. Yeah, so upwind, use the main, use the tiller. Obviously be a little bit careful on the sea. Most people point too high on the sea, especially when it's choppy. You want to be footing off more. So if you're pointing to lose power, you've got to remember to pull the power back on again and get the thing going. Because if you just keep pointing, you end up going absolutely nowhere. Because you just hit wave after wave after wave and you don't go anywhere. So it's a subtle sort of balance. If it happens to want to reach, what do? You start getting overpowered on a reach. Bear away. It's the exact opposite. Okay, anybody watches the rooster video, all those rooster videos, boring as anything, but really good. So the rooster videos, it's the opposite dynamic on a reach. So when you're on a reach, you should always bear away when you get hit by a gust. Effectively, you've got the sail further out, so rather than when you're going upwind, obviously the sail's coming from the sort of front over here. The heeling force is quite a lot. It's quite a lot of heeling force. When the sail's out, actually the driving force is sort of more forward, sort of through the shroud and going that way. If you bear away in the gust, the driving force will push you forward rather than over. So actually you bear away and sheet out in the gusts, and that will make you go quicker and quicker and quicker. If you try and head up on a reach in the gust, that's usually when the boom will hit the water and off you go. And the real thing for reaching is being aware that's going to happen. So again, head out the boat, looking for the gust, looking for when they're coming. If you can see a gust coming, preempt what's going to happen. You know, am I going to have to dump some main? Am I going to have to poke into wind? On the reaches, looking behind you over your back shoulder. So if I'm saying I'm not looking that way, probably more than I'm looking that way. If you can see the gust coming, you know, get the gust, bear away and preempt it. Like that. I think that's it.
But then you bear away the gusts when you go up in the lows.
Yes,
So you
So you sort of make an S movement downwind, as the chap says, yeah, when you get hit by a gust, you go away, you bear away, and then as the wind drops, as you come back to the other side, you use that momentum, keep it on the plane, head back up. You see a big gust coming, you'll probably quite often see the top guys go up before the gust, and so they head up into the gust. As the gust comes, they'll bear away in it, and you end up sort of doing a roughly, you know, snaking all the way down the course.
Once you're up to speed anyway, you'll find you'll be able to come back up to the track. So if it's really windy and you just keep bearing off and you think, well, I'm well below the mark, once you've gone off and you've got up to speed, the pressure all comes out of the sail because you're now moving faster, you'll be able to creep back up to wind. So you see the Ace Electrics do that, they'll just bear right off a little bit, spinnakers up, but once they got going, they can then come back up to a tighter course.
Speed is my friend. Well, the only other control, sense board. Again, trick you learn from the lasers. You know, sense boards are quite big, they're quite wide, they're quite hefty things. Not only does sense board, you know, keep you going in a straight line, it gives you a little bit of lift, it's also a tripping force, so it stops you drifting sideways. So effectively you've got the force of the sail pushing you that way. You know, you don't go sideways because the centre board's there in the way. So if you lift the centre board up a bit, actually when those gusts hit, you have a little bit of side slip, if you know what I mean. There's less in the boat, less centreboard in the water for the boat to trip over. So actually, again, if it's really windy, you'll see, you know, some of the guys at the top of the fleet lifting their centreboards. Well, I've never seen a centreboard all the way down anyway. But you'll see the centreboards, when it's windy, Sort of like this back here, and I never touch it. I just leave it. I don't touch it up, wind or downwind. Just like forget it. It's there. It's back right. You know. So, but yeah, you don't. You know, think about lifting the centreboard a bit. That gives you just a little bit more sort of ease and traction and give in the boat. Right. Any more? Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Does that? I mean, I've made it sound really simple, obviously. But, it takes like a subtle movement of the rudder and the sail, is usually the quickest. But then think about if we get into trouble, watch the end of the boom. If it's going to hit the water, then we've got to get the boat flat on the board. Maybe start raking the mast board. Yeah, so the centreboard is there to stop drift, to stop the boat going sideways. You know? So if you lift the centreboard up a bit, and you get hit by a gust, effectively the boat will slip sideways in the water rather than hit it over the centreboard. Which is one of the reasons they tell you to put the centreboard up in your job. Interestingly. So yeah, but obviously you don't lift it too far up because then you'll never get anywhere, if you know what I mean. But you know, a couple of inches, not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. What else have we got? Now we're going to go leeward, so we're getting the fun one. So windward. Okay, we're going to start with the complicated bit. Quite a gap talk of this, actually. Why does it happen? Why does a boat capsize on top of you? The wind drops. No, we're not doing that one. So it's windy, you come out of the jibe, you're going down a dead run, you're going a bit, and suddenly, you're in. Anybody know why it happens? Technically, do you know why it happens?
Wind shear.
Centre of effort is open.
The direction of the wind across the sail reverse.
Direction of the wind across the sail. You've got a sail. A sail is, you know, it's an airplane. When you're talking rugby, you all know this. High and low forces. Which way is where's the direction of force of the sail? Where is it sort of driving to? You know what I mean? If you had to do some sort of force arrows off here, is there a picture? Which sort of way is it going? Sort of that way. Sort of towards the shroud. There's quite a bit of sideways force. But it also sort of starts to pull round from the front and sort of going that way, over towards the jets over there somewhere, which is why the whole boat moves forward, right? So you imagine this sail is trying to pull us this way, yeah? If you let the sail out, what's that force going down? This way, right? Okay? Now, most of the time that's not a problem. But actually what happens is, especially as the centre of effort is now moved over there, it's probably just behind that telltale somewhere, so the centre of effort, the sail is over here, the centre of effort of the boat is over here. So what you tend to do is heel the boat on top of you to get those two bits of centre of effort nicely lined up and the boat will go lovely. These boats go really, really nicely. The water's not quite touching the leeward gunnel here. You know when it is, it makes a funny noise. It's all that sort of strengthening base underneath. That's just out the water, right? The boat will sit there really, really nicely. You've got the two centre of efforts lined up, and it'll be in the middle. So what happens is, that centre of effort is pulling this way. So if you start to go a little bit too far, suddenly the centre of effort is pulling over in front of the centre of effort in the middle of the boat. Also, the force of the sail is pulling you that way. And actually, if you end up sitting by the lee, where the wind goes the other way across the sail, you have to imagine normally the wind's coming from behind-ish, but it's sort of wrapping around the front of the mast and going that way. When you sail by the lee, the wind wraps around the back of the sail and comes this way along the sail. So actually that moves the driving force of the sail even further around this way. And what happens is, the sail wants to go that way. And the only way it can go that way is to tip the boat on top of you. Right? So technically that's why it happens. Telltale signs, if you're sailing by the lee, you see all the telltale start flowing that way. Sailing by the lee, as the lasers are taught, is incredibly quick. And it is incredibly quick, even though you can't get the sail all the way out in the supernova, it's still incredibly quick in the supernova. If you've all watched the Rooster, you know, this video, hopefully most of you have seen it by now. How do you stop that? How do you stop the boat? What's the two things you need to do? Sorry? Trim in and bear away. All of that. Yeah? Does anybody else disagree with that? Sheet in and bear away. The exact opposite of what you're taught, and the exact opposite of what your whole body wants to do. Right? As soon as this boat heels up on top of you, most people's reaction, yeah, is to let the sail out because they think they're in trouble, which actually puts it even further out and accentuates the force to tip onto them, and they then push the rudder away. Because you think if you head up, you will capsize nicely. Actually, if you watch the rooster thing, while pushing the rudder away, actually when the boat's tipping over, it actually lifts the boat even further out of the water and just makes everything even worse. And you're in, and they capsize with a bang. And you know, if you're going really quick, you used to bend the mast. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but we used to.
Got 2 spares.
Chris has got loads of spare masts where he keeps
If you want to force it, I'm
So, the technique to stop that happening, again, keeping your wits about you, but there's 2 things. If you watch the laser guys, they're really hot on this. One is body position. So, you need to do the exact opposite of what I just said. So, if the boat starts coming on top of you, you need to sheet in and bear away. It feels really, really unnatural, but that's what you need to do. So, you need to sheet in. I mean, if I'm going down wind, I'm usually going off the boom anyway. Sheet in, most of the time like that. So you need to sheet in, which actually then increases the driving force on the sail. So sort of, if you've sheeted in a bit, the driving force has now moved round to the front of the sail rather than, you know, pulling you that way. It's moved, sort of pivoted it back round over there. And you then bear away and dig the back of the boat back into the water, and the boat will flatten off and it will go very fast. And you'll also find, again, you'll end up sailing by the wind. So it's actually pull the sail in and bear away into it. Also, if you've got your feet in the right place, you should have probably one foot on the other side of the tow strap. So you'll also lean in at that point and push as hard as you can on the foot on that side. So I'll go downwind with one foot this side of the tow strap, one foot that way. So that I've always got a foot over that side of the cockpit. If I need to push on that side of the boat to get it down, I can just lean in and put loads of weight on, you know, on something like that. Put loads of weight on that knee and push over there, whilst also leaning in and bearing away. And it takes a bit of practice. It's something I practice a lot at the sailing club. You know, I'll go out when it's windy and I'll deliberately try and get myself into that situation because it doesn't come naturally. It never came naturally to me. So it's something to put yourself in that position when it's windy. You can start when it's not too windy and just practice doing that. The worst thing that can happen, what's the worst thing that can happen when you do that manoeuvre? Apart from capsize, what's the, okay, you know, sometimes it's too late to happen. But what's the worst thing that can happen? So you're sailing by the lead, and he's doing off first turn tails, he's throwing that way, and you pull the sail. You jog. Okay, so that's the worst thing that happens. At least you're in control of it, right? I'm trying to teach my daughter this all the time. You're better off controlling the boat than letting the boat control you. Okay, so you're in control. You know what's going to happen because you pull the rudder towards you. If you start pushing the rudder away, when it can't do anything, it's out of the water, the boat will just go wherever it wants to go, right? You have no control at all. But if you bear away from the dimension, the worst that can happen is jibe, but at least you know that's going to happen. You'll be pushing really hard down there on that side anyway, so your head's already low, so the worst thing is, it ends up doing a sudden jibe. But you've got to sort of predict that that might happen, so if it really doesn't just flatten off and go quick, it will jibe. But you're already halfway through the jibe manoeuvre, aren't you? Because you've pulled the sail in and you've put the boat to the rudder like that. So all you've got to do is just jibe, right? And if it jibes and still goes wrong, well, at least you've capsized to windward, to leeward on the other jibe, which is nicer than capsizing to windward on this one. So it's all benefits, if you know what I mean. If you get it right, you'll go quicker and not capsize. If you do it a bit aggressive and get it wrong, you might jibe and you'll survive the other side. Or you will jibe and capsize nicer than you would have done to start off with. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of sort of, when it's windy, it takes a bit of guts, if you know what I mean. But I'd recommend downwind, I always go downwind holding those two. Very, very rarely, unless it's really horrible, because I can't reach 1 inch to look longer. I can't sit far enough back, for instance. If that knot is actually there, I can't let the sail out far enough. So if it's really, really windy and I've got to sit all the way back here, I'll go 1 to 1, but I don't do that unless I really, really have to. If you're holding the beam too tight, it's hard work, but you can really feel the power in the sail, you can really feel what it's going to do. If it goes light on your arm, you probably know you're about to go by the lead, so it's not right. Yeah, it happens because the driving force of the sail is trying to pull you that way. So trying to predict that by keeping your weight on that back foot over there and power into the thing rather than trying to let the sail out and head up, because that just ends in tears. I've made that sound really simple. It is. But it's something to practice, it really is. You can practice that, you know, in between races, like 5 minutes early when it's windy. I do it at night, I sail. I sail for an island, when it's windy, I can sail that island, so I have no choice to drop. So I can't head up, force myself, you know, because in between races you do the nice thing, right? You go off the beach, you know, have a break, sail around, see it's fucking great, that's great. No point practicing the easy stuff, right? Practice the stuff that's hard, and basically that in the summer, at home, where it doesn't matter if you're out and you go home. So put yourself in a difficult situation to practice all the time. Anything else? Let me see that.
Is it worth mentioning, so Tiff was talking a lot about the rudder. If you were thinking about going upwind, if you hold the boat flat, when you push the rudder away from you, the boat naturally wants to heel as it goes upwind. So pushing the rudder away from you makes the boat want to tip over this way. And when you pull it towards you, it naturally wants to go the other way. So when we're talking about going upwind and the boom hitting the water, there is a couple of little things you can do as a desperate measure, and that is, as it hits the water, you can't let it out. If you lean out and bear away as hard as you can, if you're lucky, you might just save it because you've got your weight over the edge, and what you've done by bearing away is the boat wants to roll back this way to the spoon. If you panic and you pull the tiller, push the tiller away from you to head up even more, all you're doing is rolling the boat more over and just pushing the boom through the water. So if you think, you know, when you're flat, if you look at the rooster videos, they talk about this technique for going over the waves. So if you just have a little bit of heel, as you're going up the wave, push the tiller away from you, it actually lifts the bow up. As you go over the top of the wave, pull the rudder towards you, it actually pushes the bow back down. So if you think about how the rudder isn't just steering the boat, but when you're tipped over, it's actually pushing the bow up and pulling the bow down. And if you think about how that works when you're tipped over, you know, those desperate moments, that's where some people just about manage to get away with it and others don't. Is you think, oh shit, I'm tipping now. Pull the rudder towards me, and the boom will just pop up. If you're lucky, but that's sort of the only things you can. Those little moments is the difference between this close to now swimming.
And there is one other tip that I've got. Again, this is to stop the boom hitting the water. I have my kicker led to the outside, simply because if the boom hits the water the other way, the kicker will move the boom up and down. If the boom hits the water, if you're quick enough and you can just flick the kicker out at the cleat, the boom will pop up and you'll save it. But I find if it's on the inside, I can't reach it, so I leave mine to the outside, so it's closer. And so I can literally, while you're hiking out, that has saved me a few times. Not always, sometimes you're not quick enough, but yeah, being able to quickly let the kicker off when the boom's about to just hit the water. If you're really quick, you can just slam the kicker off and the boom pops out the water and off you go. Right, so those are the two difficult ones. What's next? Jibing. We do jibing. Who capsized on that jibe? Well, who capsized on that jibe last year and let me pass? Come on, over here.
I was just before.
No, you were just before, weren't you? So, have you all heard of the S then? When you're jibing? How to steer when you're jibing. Okay? So, again, two reasons, well, some of the main reasons you capsize on the jibe. When the sail comes across from one side to the other, okay, when it's windy, there's an awful lot of turning. Right? If that boom is going from there all the way over to here, just the act of the boom going from one side to the other, yeah, will try to turn the boat. Yeah? There's an awful lot of sort of pivoting force, so the boom is swinging from one side to the other. If that boom hits this shroud, okay, or hits the main sheet knot or whatever, you know, it's got to stop. That turning force will come round and it will suddenly stop. And it will either hit the main sheet knot or it will hit the shroud. And when it does that, the boat will sit. Okay? Because, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's probably some physics. Centrifugal force, inertia, momentum. There we go. Yeah? Okay? So just the momentum of the boom swinging around will act as a force on the boat to try to make it, you're going around this way, the boom will spin around and it'll try to spin the boat further around, and then you'll end up with a normal needle capsize because there's just too much power in the sail to allow on a reach. You've gone from a run to a reach on the other jibe. So, simple trick to stop that happening. I always try to stop holding that, okay? And if you watch the fast asymmetrics, when they dive, where does their boom go? Where's the boom on an asymmetric when they go down there? Anybody see the 49ers? It's a boat. Yeah. Like they go downwind like it's upwind, pretty much. So when they drive, their wheels go from here to here. Right? Next to no turn force at all. Again, I do about 200 sailing, I do the same with 200. Sheet in before you drive, a little bit, okay? So it's got less far to go. It's not going to go from 190 degrees to 90 degrees. You have to sheet in, again, if you're holding it like this, it's really easy. Also means when the boom lands, a duck has come over here, I can control the rate that the boom goes out into the inside. Because I'm holding it one-to-one from the boom, you can literally feel, I'm going to try to hold it up and use the opposite, you can literally feel the batten. And once all the batten stops, you can almost hold it on your hand and just let it out gently. So you control that turning force of the sail. You can feel it, it's going to over your head, you can feel it, the battens will go, and I'll hold it there for a second before I gently let it in. My hands are rather than letting the thing go spinning out of control. Literally let the sail out. So, controlling the force of the sail. When you go into the jibe, Chris and I were talking about this just now. Who's got to the point they thought, I'll jibe now? Who let pulls the jibe? Who pulls the name in the jibe? To make it come across. Come on, put your hands up. You pull the name on the jibe. Okay. If you're not pulling the name, you're in trouble. Right? By pulling the name, you're in control of the jibe. You're telling them, you're making the jibe, the set of jibe when you want it to jibe. Okay? If you're just using the rudder and bearing away, the boat will go a long way around before that sail wants to come across. So you'll be, if this is a dead run, you'll probably go all around, you almost want to reach sometimes before the sail will come across. And then you're already on a reach on the other jibe and you'll be overpowering the wind. So you've got to let the sail come across at the right point in time. And the only way to do that is to pull it, basically. So when you pull the sail of the jibe, if it pulls really nice and easy, you know you're in a good place. You're talking on the front. If you pull on this and you go, oh! And you're like, Chris, this is working Chris today. Last national time? Yeah, okay. Bottom gate, last national time. Alex Goodwin in the lead. He jive, capsize. Sam Hood, 20 minutes down, didn't jive, power, checking down. I was turned, oh, it's fucking good. Chris and I were next to each other. We both pulled the main jive and went, oh, I ain't doing that. Because we pulled, and basically, if you have to pull and you have to really pull, that basically means the boat is loaded up, like the sail has got loads and loads of force in it. If you're trying to jive with the sail fully loaded up, you're probably going to be in trouble. If you can't pull it across, you probably shouldn't be driving. So both of us just sort of went, okay, calm down, I'll have to go in a second. And that usually means you're not deep enough. You've probably gone to a bit of a reach, maybe the wind shifts around, and it's really hard. If you're on a dead run, it's really locked, and you shouldn't really feel it. You should be able to put it really easily. And so if you pull it really hard, just chill out, get your composure, let it away a little bit more, and then suddenly the boat will go light, the main will go light. So when it goes light, you rip it across, and then you can jibe nice. Chris thinks, oh, I like this. I thought it was going to win. The S maneuver that I talked about, again, this is about driving from a run to a run. You really want to drive from reach to reach. The only time you do that is maybe if this is a bottom mark and you're sort of coming up a run and you're going right back onto a beat. You almost drive from a dead run to a beat. I would very, very rarely drive from a reach to a reach, especially if it's wind this way. 10 knots or something. If it's like 15, 20 knots, you tend to drive run to run, because that's the safest way to do it, because all the forces are pushing the boat forward rather than sideways. So the way to do that is to S-end on the rudder. If you go this way, you'll pull the rudder towards you, so you get a little bit of drive, a little bit of sort of get the boat dead downwind, maybe a little bit of by the lead, pull the sail. Once the sail gets to about here, and you can start to feel the battens go, you then straighten up, if not go the other way very slightly, and that keeps the boat pointing dead downwind. Headed up all the way a bit, put you across the wind slightly. As the boat sail comes to the middle, you start to straighten up, if not go the other way. And it's only very quickly as the sail comes across. And once it's out to the other side, you can then pull the rudder the other way and start to head back up. So effectively the boat goes from sort of just off a run, onto a run, Good anyway. We'll go from. Always doing this.
Which way does it go?
You pull it that way. As the sail comes to here, you go there, and then it comes back over here. You go back here and you head up once you reach. But jibing run to a run is the safest way to jibe 99% of the time. Again, that's what practice. Again, there's really good YouTube videos on the S-bend of doing that. It's only very quick, it's very subtle. But if you keep it over here, the whole length of the jibe, and let the sail across, the boat will have gone so far around, it won't take the sails across. You want a broad reach going in the direction, and you'll have too much power in the sail, and it'll capsize to leave it. Whereas if you do the S-bend by bearing away, by sort of straightening up in the middle, the boat is still pointing dead downwind, pretty much, and all the forces are pointing that. So the S-bend is the key. Going down the way, it's just swell tomorrow. You might be swelly, lovely. You should jibe when you're going the fastest. In that point of, if you pull on this and it's fully loaded, that suggests the boat is going at full speed. If you pull on this and it's easy, that suggests you're going really quick. The quickest point of sailing downwind is usually when you're going down the wave. So most of the time, you'll jibe when you're going down the wave, not when you're trying to go up it. You might be going slower, you might be more last night, I'm not remembering how I jibe. But everything's loaded up, and it's sat on the face of the wave you're going. You do it when you're going down the wave, and the wave is pushing you along, and there's not much power in the sail. And you should hit the balls. What else do I have? Oh yeah, you don't have to jibe. So, if you pull on that and it feels horrible, don't jibe. Just carry on. So I've just talked to the guys at the back, especially after last year. Most of the time, the nationals, we get the gate from here. It's a dead run from the wing mark down. If you're good and you practice a lot, you can do that run without jibing at all. I think I did one race at nationals, so I jibed with 2 tacks and 2 jibes. You hit the port corner, tack on the wing mark, come down, jibe down the bottom, tack, jibe to finish. 2 tacks, 2 jibes, whole race, 45 minutes. Right? You can get down that dead run without jibing. You bear away at the top mark, and you're careful and you sail by the lead, you can usually make the right hand gate without jibing if you don't. And that's always safest. You don't have to jibe, but bring it in. Or go about. If you have to go about, it's usually still quicker than capsizing, especially to windward. Right? Capsize to windward takes lots of time, right? Go in the break, if it keeps you upright, it keeps you from competition. There's nothing wrong with that. You might laugh in the bar later, but you can always look at the score sheet and be fine.
If you're going to go about there, you give yourself a lot of room.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
Don't go about right next to the mark. It's amazing how far you need to bear away. If it's windy enough for you to go about, you have to go a long way past the mark to get back to bear away from it. Otherwise you won't make it.
To be honest, I always think that bear off after you've tacked, if it's really windy, it's quite
more practice than the
You're
jibe.
almost going for a standing still. You're trying to bear off downwind. And to be honest, I'd rather go for the jibe and just hang on. Because generally speaking, if it's that windy and you wear around, it's funny, I end up going in anyway.
Yes, I was going to say, if you do the tack and then you still capsize, that's embarrassing.
That's right.
I think that's it. Any questions? I mean, I've whittled through that, the racing odds, to make it sound really simple. But I would say practice those downwind maneuvers, sailing by the lead, practice jibing at your home club. Whenever it's windy, come out and jibe, because there's nothing better than practicing at home, because then when you come here, it's a lot easier. Anything else?
I'm
I'm going to win. Like I said, when you win it tomorrow, I'm going to win.
Are you going to demonstrate it all tomorrow?
Probably, yeah. You mentioned going into waves and pitch bubbling.
Yeah. Sit
So
further
I'm
back.
going to be quite low, sit further back.
Yes, well, yeah. I don't like to sit too far back. If you sit too, I hate going downwind while just holding the main sheet like this. I just feel like I don't have control. And I actually use a longer main sheet than actual sit, so I can sit further back when it's windy. But for instance, I'm looking at, I can't let the sail fire for that. Sit further back. Again, get your feet position right. Foot over here, foot over here. Not digging the nose in. Sometimes it's quite difficult in short chop, but that's usually about steerage. So if you can see the front of the boat is going to nose dive into the wave in front, you probably need to head up and try and go round it. If you know what I mean, come up onto reach, sail around that wave, or bear away by the lee, and go the other side of it. It's usually about there's more steering to avoid the waves. Sometimes you can't, luckily the water goes straight at the back, so it's quite nice. Sometimes you can't, and there's not much you can do. But yeah, sit further back. Gav sits with his toes over here. But you can get, but if you sit too far back, if it's really that bad, again, hold the tiller at the bottom. You hold it up here, you can get a bit unwieldy. Your hand right here on the UV joint, and you've got a really nice. I quite often have my front foot against that thing, my toes here, so I can push against that or pull my toes against that. On my back foot will be the other side, so I've got one foot both sides, and you can really feel the boat under your feet, especially if you're one-to-one in the main. You can, steerage to avoid the waves is usually the key. But sometimes there's a trade-off. If it's really horrible, that the only way to avoid the wave is to head up, and that means you have to jibe. Well, you know, practicing sailing by the lee is the key, because then you can go where you like without jibing. I think that's it. Any more? If it capsizes to windward, that's the only one we can do. On those sort of fluffy days we have, especially at Cotswold, you're sailing along, massive wind, 75-degree wind shift, and woof you in. That happened to me the other week. Not much you can do, right? Apart from keep your eyes open, watch what's going on in front of you. The only real tip I've got is if you're really quick, take your feet out of the toe strap and so your body's in the water. Usually what you do, comes on top of you, you pull harder on the main sheet, right? And you just like, oh my word, I'm trying to pull yourself back in. By putting harder on the main sheet, actually you just pull the boat on top of you. Actually what you need to do is just hold the main sheet really lightly, take your feet out of the toe strap, so you end up floating in the water with your life jacket, and if you're lucky there's enough wind for the boat to go over, and you end up sort of bent over the side, you can hook your legs in and pretend you didn't do it. I mean, I've only been able to do that a few times. Most of the time I'm just into windward and there's not much you can do. If you go into windward, how do you get back on the centre one? Which way do you get? You climb over, swim round the back, you climb over the boat. Yeah. You start really shallow lake, get their mast stuck in the mud. The guy on the boat, see him brake, quickest way to the centre board, and this side is under the boat. That's what the laser guys do. You've got to be brave, hold your breath, just go under the boat. You'd be surprised how quickly it is. It takes a long time to get around the back, go around the front. You go under the boat, you get to the centre board really, really quickly. There we go. Any more?
Yeah, that's good.